and welcome to the Spark Accounting Solutions show. My name is Jennifer Quinn. I am excited to bring to you some really useful information with our guest today. Now, one of the things that I love is when someone makes my job as a business owner easier. I don't have to take all the time to do the research to find really amazing resources. And that's what Julie Babcock Hyde is going to bring to you today. Some apps that will make your life easier as you head into 2018. They're already tried, they're already tested. Julie knows what she's talking about for small business owners. So join me in welcoming our guest today, the founder and owner of Spark Accounting Solutions, Julie Babcock Hyde. Welcome, Julie.
Hey, good morning. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you, and I'm especially excited to be able to share with people the apps that you've already tested. Like, I love it when someone cuts my learning curve down.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Apps can be overwhelming, and we're going to give some tips on like how not to get overwhelmed at the very end. But I think a lot of small business owners are, well, all of us probably that are small business owners are never as organized as we really want to be. And since it's a new year and it's resolution time, maybe you made a resolution to get a little bit more organized this year. So I'm happy to jump into some of these and talk about how some of these apps that are out there can really help you get more organized.
Excellent. Well, and one of the things that I love about it is, technology is changing faster than any of us can keep up with it. And so it's really important to be able to stay on top of everything. I see we have some live viewers. Those of you who are joining us live, go ahead and leave a comment so we can give you a shout out. If you're joining us on the replay, also just tell us where you're watching from. I always love seeing where people are tuning in from. So Julie, why don't we just dive right into your number one tip? We've got 5 apps that are going to help make life easier.
Perfect. My one that I'm always going to start with as an accountant is an accounting software, right?
Of course.
And so we have chosen as our primary platform for our own firm and our own clients, QuickBooks Online. And the reason that I love QuickBooks Online and cloud accounting in general is because it can help you automate things. There's tons less data input. Who wants to do data input in this day and age? And so we really want to get you into a program that is simple for you. Bank feeds are really powerful because it's pulling the data directly from your bank. So again, you're not having to key everything in. We want you to be able to send out an invoice from your phone. We want you to be able to accept a payment from your phone, wherever you're at. Send those pay now links. And QuickBooks Online makes it easy. There's a bunch of different versions, so you can pick the one that's right for you. QuickBooks has a new self-employed version that's kind of a simplified version that is really made for kind of freelancer type people. And it actually has mileage trackers in there and some other tools that can make life easier for you. That's a good solution if you're using one bank account for both personal and business. If you're kind of a little bit more grown up in your business, I encourage you to look at some of the other versions of QuickBooks Online that are the more traditional accounting models. There's a simple start, there's an essentials, there's a plus. Those are all great options. And then if you really, there are some industries that can't use QuickBooks Online standalone. And so guess what? There's a million apps that you can add on to QuickBooks Online too. So find the one that fits for you and make your accounting easier. Know your numbers.
That's a great, like, know your numbers. How many small business owners don't make that a regular practice of knowing their numbers? What's your guess? What's your estimate?
I would guess a majority. I don't know what the percentage is. I would say more than 50%, because as small business owners, most small business owners, when they started their business, weren't like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited I get to do bookkeeping. They don't do that. People like us do, and that's why we do it for you. But so a lot of people get behind on that. Mm-hmm. And so making it as easy as possible is really key. And I will, for those people that hate it, instead of getting an online accounting system, I would get a bookkeeper to help you get those numbers done instead. So So make that easy for yourself if you can.
Okay. So QuickBooks Online is tip number 1. Number 2 is, this one's just a headache, I think, but I think you've got a way to simplify it. Number 2 is managing your receipts. How do you recommend that?
Okay, for the people that are watching live, if you are one of those people that has a shoebox at the end of the year or a big envelope of crap, speak up in the comments and let us know that's you. It is not uncommon to have people that at the end of the year pull out that envelope and start adding up all their receipts and making sure things are there. And that is incredibly painful. I really encourage my clients to get those receipts digitized as soon as you get them. So, for example, there are apps for that. We recommend Expensify. We recommend Receipt Bank. We recommend Shoeboxed, but there's more that are out there. There's Concur. There's other ones. Anything that is actually going to nicely snap a picture when you're at a restaurant with a client, and you can leave that receipt behind is beautiful, right? Who wants to take it if you don't even need it? And so Expensify and Receipt Bank are ones that will do that. You can also forward emails. So if you get an email receipt in your inbox, you can forward that on. Shoeboxed is a little bit different, and I want to talk about that because I've recommended this to people that are like, Julie, I have 4 years of receipts and I don't know what to do with them. You can put them in an envelope and you can send them to Shoeboxed, and they will scan them all for you. And depending on which plan, they'll send them back to you if you want them back. But they digitize all of them and they put them into a CSV file. So you have the vendor and the dates and the amounts all in an electronic format.
Wow, that's amazing.
Do it all at once. So if you have that box of receipts from the last several years, that is a good way to get them digitized and get them out of your hair.
That is amazing. So let me ask you this. The apps that you're talking about, like Expensify, do those integrate with QuickBooks too, or am I connecting the wrong dots?
Yes, you can set them up to integrate with the accounting software as well if you want to. People take different approaches to that. And there's actually ways within QuickBooks itself that you can snap a picture. QuickBooks Self-Employed has the ability to snap a picture, put it in there. Regular QuickBooks, you can attach a file to it if you want to. We really like some of these. We really like the Expensifys and the Receipt Banks because of their easy apps. I'll say that they've got really easy apps that have really great OCR. And so they're actually using optical character recognition to read the receipts, find out who the vendor is, find out what the amount was, find out what the date was. And they're doing that part for you so that, again, I don't want to do data input. You don't want to do data input. If the system can read it and tell us what it is, that's beautiful.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Hey, we've said that's beautiful at the same time. So, I mean, you know what I mean? Okay. So managing your receipts, super important because
several reasons. Number one, if our friends at the IRS ever come knocking and want to audit you, they're going to want to see receipts, right? But they aren't the only people that can come knocking. Our friends at the State Tax Commission can also come knocking. And sometimes they'll come knocking to do sales and use tax returns. And a lot of people are not necessarily doing everything they need to do in terms of use tax. So use tax is basically, if you would have bought that product in state, you would have paid the sales tax on it. Mm-hmm. But maybe you bought it out of state. Maybe you had something shipped from, like Amazon used to not charge sales tax. So maybe you would buy your office supplies in the past through Amazon, not pay sales tax. And you're supposed to pay, like in Idaho, we're supposed to pay use tax on that. Well, those receipts may be what you need to prove that you already paid sales tax. Okay. When those auditors come. So you want to keep those for audit purposes for sure.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. All right. Are we ready to move on to the next one?
I'm ready.
So the next one is tracking your mileage. And one of the tips that you shared on your page, since the new year was take a picture of your odometer in your car to start the year. I loved that tip. What else do you have for us for tracking mileage?
Well, mileage is a real challenge for everybody that tracks it for business purposes. And there's also medical mileage and charitable mileage that you might want to track for tax purposes as well. So it's a pain. Have you ever seen those little mileage books?
Yeah, where you're supposed to write them down every time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. How many people do you think actually do that?
I'm gonna say there's probably 20%.
That may be high. That may be high because people start out with really good intentions, but when you get going, I have a few clients that still keep a manual mileage log and they do a great job of it. But most people will get started. They might do good for a couple weeks and then they'll forget it for a while. And then they'll be like, oh, shoot, I forgot to do that. And they'll do it again for a little bit. And so it's hard to get a really full picture. And so if you can automate that mileage tracking so that you're not having to jot it down in a little book on your own, it again makes life easier. So there are, of course, apps to do that. A couple of our favorites, well, I will say QuickBooks Self-Employed for those freelancers has a mileage tracker built into QuickBooks Self-Employed. We use, I personally have used both of these solutions. MileIQ. MileIQ is an app that lives on your phone. And as long as it's on all the time, it tracks where you're driving to. So you can, like, if you've got client addresses that you go to regularly, you can program those in so it knows that you're going to client A or client B, and it's automatically pulling that into the system. But otherwise, it's kind of, you sweep left or you sweep right for whether it's business or personal, and it tracks all of your mileage while you're driving around. Another one that I've used is called the Mileage Ace. And the reason I originally liked the Mileage Ace was because I didn't really like keeping my location on all the time on my phone. And if you don't have your location on, then those apps that are tracking your GPS movements through your phone can't track where you're going. So I had used the Mileage Ace. Mileage Ace is a little box that lives in your car. You can push whether it's business or personal, but it just lives in your car, and you connect it up through Wi-Fi so that when you pull into your garage, I like to say that it phones home to the mothership, and it actually uploads all of your driving data to their website so that you can go through and organize it. And there's times that you need to correct something, like maybe you said something was business or something was personal and it wasn't. Maybe you forgot your phone one day and you need to add some stuff in. Whatever it is, it's really nice having these apps because you can do it if you do need to do those manual adjustments. You still can.
Oh, very nice. Okay, very nice. And so mileage is another thing that we need to track, just like receipts, in case the IRS comes a knocking, right?
Yeah, so technically, if you do not have the mileage log the way the IRS wants it, you should not be deducting miles.
Ooh.
At all. And so so this gets really tricky. You can lose your mileage deduction or your automobile deductions if you don't have the appropriate documentation. So this is potentially a big deal. But a lot of times what also happens if you're not really tracking your mileage is you miss trips. You forgot about that trip to Office Depot that you took. You forgot about that extra drive you took. And so you're actually not getting all the deductions you're entitled to. And who doesn't want a deduction that they earned or that they already paid for on their tax return?
I'm thinking we all want the deductions that we.
I don't think any of us want to pay more taxes than we have to. So I really encourage people to really track that mileage log, get it automated and easy so that you're not struggling to come up with your mileage log. And these mileage logs are technically supposed to be contemporaneous, which means you're supposed to be creating them all year long.
Okay.
And so people have lost their mileage deduction again because they created it after the fact when they were getting audited.
So it's January 10th, and if you haven't been logging your mileage, you can now go download one of these apps and go back in, check your calendar, and update the things that you have missed, right?
Yes. And I actually have a discount code that I can share for MileIQ. And so when we get done here, I'll go back in and post that in there so that if you want to take advantage of that discount code, you can.
Perfect. Now, is MileIQ the one you recommend, or are they all pretty equal?
They're all pretty even. There's my two favorite. There are more than the two that I talked about. My two favorite are MileIQ and the Mileage Ace.
Okay.
Now, depending, MileIQ I like because it's on your phone, and most of us don't go anywhere without our phone anymore. The Mileage Ace, again, I like because it's in your car. So if you are somebody that doesn't doesn't take your phone with you everywhere. It's still in your car and it still knows where you're going. So there's pros and cons to both of them, but they both work great. And keep track of where you've been so that you can easily go and track your business versus personal miles.
All right. I'm convinced. I'll be downloading that. Please do share the discount code.
I will, absolutely.
Okay. And so the number four thing we need is a scheduler. And talk to us about what a scheduler does and then why we need it.
I love my online scheduler. How many times have you sent back and forth emails with somebody saying, can you meet on Tuesday at 10? No, but can you meet on Thursday at 10? No, but can you meet Wednesday at 7? How many emails do we end up sending back and forth because we need to find a time that's convenient for both of us? Well, an online scheduler takes that away. Hey, you want to talk to me? Great, I want to talk to you. Here's my calendar. That person can automatically go. They can set up that appointment themselves. Now, there are people that want to get paid before they have those meetings, right? Mm-hmm. And some of these online schedulers will actually allow you to have people pay you when they schedule.
Very nice.
And that's really nice. That's really nice for people because who doesn't want to get paid when they need to get paid? And if you can get paid in advance, that's always great.
Excellent.
Another time, and I know that I've seen you use this tool when you're trying to get a group of people together and you're trying to find the best time to schedule something. Again, how painful is it to be like, who's available on Wednesday? Okay, right. Nobody's available on Wednesday. What about Friday? What about, and so these conversations go on and on. Whereas if you use a tool like Doodle or Boomerang Calendar, that can help people coordinate their schedules. And so you can see, okay, we got 10 people that need to be at this meeting. 8 of you are all available at this time. That's when we're going to do it.
Yes, so I do love that. I do love that. And so which scheduler apps do you recommend or have you used or have you, explored?
Yeah. So right now, like I personally use youcanbook.me. I have a lot of people that use Acuity, and they use Acuity because it interfaces with Zoom. And I'm probably moving there this year because I do a lot of Zoom meetings with my clients. And so it'll set up that Zoom meeting for you auto-magically. And I love when things work auto-magically. But there's also Schedulicity, there's Calendly, like I mentioned, Doodle that does some of the group things, Boomerang Calendar, again, that helps, let people grab times off your calendar that works. So you can look at those and just try to figure out what features you need. Some of them have one-way sync, which means it'll send stuff to your calendar. Some of them have two-way sync so that if you update something on your calendar, it'll update your scheduler so that it blocks you out, which is very convenient if you suddenly decide that you want to, take a late lunch and you need to block time out. You can put it on your calendar and it'll update. Some of them will do the whole payment thing. Some of them won't. So really think about what features you would like in your scheduler when you pick one out.
I love that. And many of them have a level that's free. You can use it free and test it out, take it for a test drive. One of the things that I love, I personally use Calendly, and I'm thinking about switching to one that has more features, but I've used Calendly for years. And they do have a free entry trial, but you can set up different appointment, segments. So I've got one for, coaching. I've got one for consulting. I've got one and so that you can change all the different variables, as far as when you're available for those things. And you can sync it to your main calendar so that it tells people automatically. I love that word, by the way. I'm going to start using that. It tells people automatically what your availability is for that specific task or whatever you're offering.
Right. And it's so nice to be able, like if you're shopping around for an accountant or a live streaming coach or a dentist or a doctor or whatever, and they actually let you be like, hey, grab a slot on our calendar, or hey, how easy is that to get new clients to talk to you when they can automatically schedule and not have to pick up the phone and call? I find myself sometimes not calling when the only option is picking up the phone and call. So it's really nice to have that as an onboarding tool as well.
I totally agree. Totally agree. Okay, number 5, task, project, and management system. Can't wait to hear what you've got for us on this.
How many times have you in the last week had that sinking feeling that you forgot something?
Is that a real question? Because in the last week, I could do the last day, right? Like 5. No, not 5, but you get my point.
It's so easy. There's so many things to do as small business owners that it's hard to remember all of them. And it's hard to kind of keep track on what your team's working on. And that's why I love some of these task and project management systems that are out there, because that email comes in from a client that needs something, you can't deal with it right now. Forward it into the project management system, forward it into your task management system, so it's out there. It needs to get done, and it's not going to get forgotten in your email box. It's also really helpful to be able to visually see. You may know that you've got 20 projects going on in your company across your team, and you want to know where they're at. If you have a task management system or a project management system, and you can just log in and visually see yourself what's going on without calling every one of your team members to figure out where they're at. Again, this is an efficiency thing. It makes life easier for you as you're, orchestrating all the workflow of the company, but it also helps you make sure everybody's getting taken care of. So there are tons of these to choose from. I wish I could tell you that I knew the perfect one for you, but I don't. I don't know the perfect one for me even. It's really funny because I think with project management systems, a lot of times you end up picking something that does 90% of what you need to have done. For whatever reason, everybody has just a little bit different needs, and finding the right one is a challenge. I'm going to be honest with you. This one is a challenge. I know people that use Wrike. That's WRIKE. I know people that use Basecamp. I know people that use Asana. I know people that use Trello. I know people that do something more simple, like with a more simple to-do list, like Todoist. There are a ton of options out there. Find one that meets your needs. First, define what you need it to be able to do. Do you need recurring tasks? Do you need dependent tasks? Do you need a schedule that's locked in so that when you start a new client on day 5, this happens, and on day 10, this happens, and you can put in the base date? I don't know what your needs are. You need to think about how your tasks work in your business and how you assign tasks, and think about what your needs are so that you can really evaluate. And this is another area where take advantage of the free trials. Don't set everything up in there for your free trial. Pick one project or 2 projects that are typical of what you're doing. Try it out and see if it works the way you want it to or not.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And it might even be something that the free trial, it might even be something that you hand off to one of your team members and let them get in there and see if it meets all of your, because it's there's time that you're investing, and you may want reviews from one of your team members who knows what your objectives are.
Exactly. Absolutely. And, I want to talk about, as you're looking at these apps, it's really important to define which one of these are really mission critical and which one of these, as long as you have something, it's good enough. Because app evaluation overwhelm is a real thing. But any task or anything that you want to do, there's probably at least 10 apps that do that very thing. At least 10, probably even more. And so when you get into it, don't get drugged down into trying out all of them, especially if it's not a mission critical function. If you need to do mileage tracking and that's not mission critical, talk to people in your industry, find out what they're using, talk to your accountant, find out what they recommend. I've given you 2 really strong options already right now. Don't spend a ton of time thinking about that if it's not mission critical. Pick something that you know works, that's in your budget, and just move forward with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be good enough if it's not mission critical.
Perfect. I love that.
Yeah. If it really is mission critical, take the time, really do a needs analysis, really define what you need, identify several apps that meet those needs, and then test them out and spend the time to get it right. But I also recommend putting a deadline on it, because you can spend a ton of time evaluating and never get implemented.
That is so true. That is so true. I think that resonates probably with all of us. So that is perfect. So what are your, I can't believe we're already out of time, but what are your, top tips or your final words for us on these apps?
I would just say, if there are things that you're still doing manually, mileage logs, keeping pieces of paper, any of these things that you're still doing manually, and especially if we haven't talked about it, put a comment down and tell us these other areas you struggle with, because there are other apps that we know about that would love to have a conversation about. But don't think that things have to be hard anymore. Technology has made things so that almost everything can be easy, and we want that your business to run smoothly and easily for you, and not have you struggling with keeping pieces of paper, for example.
Yeah, love it, love it, love it. And so the only hard part is the learning curve, the finding it. You've helped a ton with just kind of sorting through what a business owner needs. So thank you for that, Julie. Thank you for your time today.
It was great to share that. I love these, so I hope they help you.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. And I want to say thank you to the viewers, whether you're watching live or replay. If you have any questions, have any comments, go ahead and drop them. Julie or one of the team members will jump back in and answer your questions. And if you have any other questions and you want to just reach out individually and not post it in the comments, go ahead and send a message to the Spark Accounting Solutions page. Send a message and someone will get back to you. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great rest of the day, and let's go crush 2018. Okay. Awesome.